Good morning and welcome back to art class with Mr. Darby. I can't wait to draw with you today. We're going to draw Bodie, a lighthouse down in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, a place my family has visited for my entire life, every once in a while. And Bodie is one of the prettiest lighthouses maybe in all of North America. So thought we could draw it today. It's going to be a little more of a realistic drawing today again because it is a real place, so you can go visit it and check it out. But we're going to be drawing the lighthouse and maybe even a little reflection in the water. So get your pencils, get your paper, and let's get ready to draw. We're going to start with the house near the lighthouse. And right here, we're going to put a line down. And another line down. A little bit lower. All right, and a little bit higher. Maybe come up a little bit more. We're going to put an A shape for a roof. And then a horizontal line here. And a horizontal line here. And notice how these stay parallel, right? We also want to make this part of the roof parallel to this part of the roof. And then this will go back in behind. It has 4 chimneys. We can only see part of those chimneys. And this one's going behind the house. So we'll just make some lines coming down. Rectangles. All right. Now, halfway down here, we're going to make a little overhang for our porch light. So right here on the house, we're going to make another horizontal line. Just like that. We'll make a diagonal on each end and bring that over. Now, I'm thinking I didn't probably go down far enough with this, so let me bring it down a little lower. And now I can add my posts. Good. The house will go behind the posts, so maybe we can bring the post down just a little lower there. All right, and then this will connect and come down behind. And we could spend time adding more details to this house, but we're going to make it look like it's far off in the distance. We can't really see a whole lot, so let's just add a couple little marks for windows. Looks like it's got 2, 4, 6 windows on the front. I start with a 7 and make an L. Very easy way to make some small windows. And there's a door up in here. We can't see too much what's going on down here from the picture that I'm looking at. And there's also a small rectangle down here. All right. Now, if we move across the page, we'll put our fence. There is a fence around the lighthouse, so we'll make a horizontal line. All right. We want to make this horizontal line go all the way over here, not touching the edge of the paper. And again, underneath it, another line. And we can stop. And you can kind of add a few little vertical lines up and down it. Don't put them all so perfectly, all right? So some close together, some far apart. That will make it more interesting to look at. And then we have the lighthouse itself. So there is a little house attached to the lighthouse, which is a rectangle. So right in the middle of the fence or so, make a rectangle. Diagonal lines again for the roof. Notice how this is shorter than the first house. Put a top on it and put the side on it, so you have your V shape and it comes down and it hides behind the fence. There's 2 little chimneys at the top, and I'm not seeing any windows on there. There's a little detail, kind of like a A shape. And then we'll put a couple little trees back here. So we come up, out, out, and then around it we make just a little cloud. So almost like a Y. This one's here. These are the tops of the trees, and they don't have to be perfect. Sometimes we make a cloud shape and we try to make a perfect cloud shape, but really that's not important that it's perfect. So make another line going a little taller, and then we'll go around that to make the top of the tree and a line across it. This is almost like a T, right? That way it looks like the trunk goes up inside the actual tree and disappears. Over here, we can make the ground coming out from behind. And some brush back here. We can make it connect to the house there. And it's going to kind of go off the edge. We're not going to worry too much about the rest. But there are some trees. So we come up, we come down. Good. And down. All right. And then we don't want to end this in a straight line. It kind of makes you feel like the picture just stops. But we want it to fade out. So it looks like maybe the picture goes on further. And there is another tree over here. So we can come up, out, and then around. And it's almost like a diamond shape if you look at it. It's just wiggly, right? And a couple lines at the top to make it look like the tree branches go into the leaves. These probably are some sort of a pine, okay? All right, so now we need to make our lighthouse. Well, starting right about the middle of the lighthouse, we want to come up in a nice straight line to about here, all right? And you can make the distance until it seems right to you. The lighthouse is pretty tall, but we want to keep some room at the top. So come up, find a point, and find a point in the middle, and it just makes it easier to connect those lines with a straight line. There's the left side of the lighthouse. Because it's tipping in, we want it to tip in on the other side too. So we'll put a line here, coming out a little bit from the side, and then we want this one to come down at the same angle, and it can come down into the fence. All right, again, let's connect those lines. This might be the hardest part of getting your lighthouse to look right. So if you want to use a ruler, take advantage of the tools you have. Maybe you have an edge of a notebook. Maybe you have just a regular book that you've been reading while you're doing your schoolwork. Any edge will do to keep a straight line. It'll make you feel a little more confident, okay? Now we want to connect the top of this. And at the top, we want to come out. Diagonal lines out and then up. They're short lines. We can connect both of these straight across with parallel lines. And then it's going to look like the lighthouse kind of comes straight up from here. There's a slight arch or curve shape, and it comes up for the glass. Then there's another arch. It's just a curve. An arch is just a curve, right? And then there's kind of like a little bubble here for the roof. And the roof comes up to a point and then back down. All right. A little bit difficult to see with the marker the way it is, but actually it looks pretty close to the real thing, so it's very nice. All right, and then the black lines for Bodie are horizontal, so we're going to put a line here really close to the top. We're going to come down, and this is black, this is white, this is black. Slight arch on those ones. So we have black, white, black. Then we have white. And we have black. All right. I left a little gap here so that I don't lose the detail of the chimney on this little building here, okay? And there's actually a little bit of a glare on the black from this, the sun coming down and reflecting. So let's just put a little, these aren't windows, it's just a little reflection, okay? All right, when we color that in black and white, it'll be beautiful. Next, we can kind of bring the grass over across the top and then off the side. We want to try and keep it so it's as horizontal as possible. We can even bring a line back in here. And then there is some brush back in here, and these are just lumpy little lines. They don't have to be perfect. And then we just make like a couple little taller ones, so you have like, you know, the little trees and bushes that are sticking up out of the brush in the wetlands. All right, this looks very nice. This is actually going to reflect, so we can start real close here. We can bring a line across, all right, and it kind of comes in and then back out, and then across, and then back in. So this looks like this land is coming out toward us, right? And then we'll come out and down. Wiggly lines. It's not perfect. and back in, and then back out. Okay. I made these touching the edges of the paper. It kind of makes it feel like it's coming out at us. And there is a tree here. There are some big old trees, and I think they're pine trees when I visited. So we're just going to put a big old tree. It comes up right over top of the drawing you already drew. And sometimes that can be really hard to handle. You feel like you've done a nice job. You don't want to ruin it, right? And just make that line a little bit thicker. It is far away, so it doesn't have to have a space in between it. Where you might see where you've already drawn, and you can also erase it or color it in to make it look like the tree bark. Mine's just going to be black. Alright, there's some branches. It's a dead tree, probably from getting whipped with the wind. It's so big. Y shapes are great for branches. And this tree comes up, and it's so big at the top, and it's probably where it's still alive. So it's almost like a fan, right? V, 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 V. It's all V shapes. And then we're just going to make that same kind of diamond shape around it. And we can connect with U's so it looks like the tree is going up inside. And then the leaves will look like it's covering the tops. Okay, cool. All right, so next thing we got to do here is add our reflection. And the reflection should be right below where you've already drawn. If it's to the side, if it's off a little bit, it's going to seem really wrong. And in a reflection, you're not going to see the entire house because the house, it flips upside down. So we start here and we just draw down a little bit. All right, straight down from the line of the house there. So now we have our two lines for the side of the house, and we'll put another little line here, and this will be this line up here. Okay, you're not going to see any of this area. So we make our line come across, and then here where we had our A shape, we'll make it, the V has to be symmetrical, right? So if we turn it this way and you split it right here where the building meets the ground, it should be symmetrical, which means that this will have to be a parallel line here and then coming across. So let's look at it. Symmetrical. All right, great. And then we have our chimneys. Good. And then we have windows, rectangles, okay. I don't make the rectangles perfect here because it is a reflection and water can have ripples in it or distortions, which means just it doesn't look exactly right, and that's because the reflection on the water is wavy. And the ripples could be from wind, it could be from little sticks sticking out of the water here. All right, so we'll add that stuff in later. Then we have to also do the lighthouse reflection. So the lighthouse reflection comes down here. Now it's got to come down here. So, well, I made a mark here, so I guess I'll just have to connect it. There's that line and that line. Instead of doing the top of the lighthouse, we'll just let believe that it goes off the edge of the paper. Okay? And then we still have our curves and our reflection. Good. We can even add these little glares in here, but not fully. All right. Very cool. Okay, and then we got a tree, right? So we got to bring this tree down for our trunk, reflection, and then we have little branches. And that's pretty much all we're going to see. We're not going to get into it any more than that. I'm just going to kind of fill that in so it's solid. Now, on our water, we need to add a few more little grass marks. And the grass marks can make the water look like it's shallow. Alright, you can add some coming off here and over here. We can add some in the grass itself. grass here. They're just short little lines, but don't try to make them perfect. A lot of times we make mistakes because we want them to be perfect grass lines. Or you're trying to copy me perfectly, but when I make it up, it means that it's obviously already made up. You don't have to make it like I'm making it. Let's bring a line in. Maybe there's some more water back here. Very nice. All right. Add some lines over top here. And now we can add some wavy lines to look like the water comes this way toward us. And then we follow them. So we kind of wavy, wavy, wavy. And this is a broken line or an implied line. And that just makes it look like the ripples are on the surface of the water. And that's what gives us that look of a reflection. Very cool. Very cool. Let's add a little one right here. And we can follow it. Okay. Nice. We'll add one here. All right. That's our drawing. We could add some clouds to it if we want to. I'm going to go ahead and stay with the plain sky. No clouds in the sky today. It's just a pretty day. And then I'm going to go ahead and look up what colors I want to use so I can color it in. Okay, I picked out these simple colors here. I got an indigo blues for the shadow, a darker gray for some shadows also on the roof. I got a lighter gray for the shadow on the side of the building, and the building itself is white with a black roof. So look, I'm going to encourage you, go look up some really nice pictures of Bodie and you'll see what it looks like for yourself. That will actually be more accurate if you're trying to color it to look real, because I'm just trying to make it pretty general. And then the grass around it is kind of a tan and sandy color. And then I have a green for some of the tops of the trees. All right, the trees are pretty dark though. So let's get our colors. Here they are, and let's get started. All right, there we have it. Our beautiful Bodie Lighthouse. And the sandy colors down here from the brush with the reflections and the lines in the water. We used dark blues and some lighter blues in the water, but then I left it mostly white because if you're painting the whole thing in, you better commit to coloring the sky too. And I'm not going to do that. If I do that, I could choose to do light blue colors to match the blues that are reflected off the water. But if I was going to do a sunset here, which you could do a sunset here, just keep in mind that everything in this picture will be a little bit darker, all right? But then also that the water has to match the sky. One of the things I see kids do a lot is if they do like a sunset, maybe they have yellow to orange to pink to red, or purples even, and then down here they have blue. And that's not the case, because in reality, the sky is reflected off of the water. You want to make sure you do that too. All right, I enjoyed drawing with you today. I hope you love drawing too. And I want to see some of these pictures. You guys, if you're drawing them, post them, share them with me, share them with each other, share them with your family, because we know that drawing and being successful, it feels really good. And then hearing compliments are really important to us, especially right now. So I feel like taking a vacation, and I wouldn't mind going back and seeing this real life. I don't know how many of you probably want to get out of your house right now too, but keep drawing, keep practicing, and practice makes progress. I'll talk to you guys soon.